In 1968, ethologist John B. Calhoun initiated an experiment that would become a terrifying parable. He placed 8 perfectly healthy mice into what he called Universe 25, a meticulously designed enclosure in Maryland built for a capacity of 3,800. It offered unlimited food, water, and nesting materials, with no predators and no disease. A perfect paradise. Yet, just 5 years later, in 1973, every single mouse was dead. The last conception had occurred on day 920, nearly 3 years prior. What force, in a world of absolute abundance and security, could bring about such total annihilation?
For the first 100 days, Universe 25 was precisely as intended, a sanctuary. The initial 8 mice, 4 breeding pairs, explored their new home, established territories, and began to reproduce. Every basic need was met instantly. You would have noticed the quiet hum of the automated feeders and the constant trickle of water, ensuring no mouse ever knew hunger or thirst. Life was idyllic, and the population doubled every 55 days, a testament to the ideal conditions.
By day 315, the population reached 620. The rate of growth continued, but subtle, insidious changes were already rooting. While the physical space was still ample, with enough housing units for 3,800 individuals, the social structure was showing distinct strain. The most desirable nesting sites, those closest to food and water, but with only one entrance, became fiercely contested. Stronger, more aggressive males began to monopolize these prime locations, pushing others to less secure spots.
The population of Universe 25 peaked on day 560, reaching 2,200 mice. This was far below the structure's physical maximum capacity, yet what John Calhoun termed the behavioral sink had already taken hold. The sheer density of interactions, even without true physical overcrowding, created an overwhelming psychological pressure cooker. Hundreds of mice were often found crammed into single compartments, while vast identical spaces remained completely empty, untouched by any inhabitant.
The established social order began to fracture irrevocably. Dominant males, overwhelmed by the constant need to defend territories, became hyper-aggressive, launching unprovoked attacks on any nearby mouse. Other males, unable to compete or find purpose, withdrew entirely. These exhausted males, or dropouts, roamed the central squares, disheveled, detached, and listless, occasionally falling victim to attacks from the hyper-aggressive, or simply being ignored by all. They no longer sought females, nor defended their young. Female mice, once meticulous in their nesting and care, also showed severe signs of behavioral breakdown. Many abandoned their litters entirely, leaving them exposed and vulnerable to the chaos. Others became pathologically aggressive, attacking and cannibalizing their own offspring. Some mothers expelled their young prematurely from the nest, or simply forgot them in the midst of birth. The natural instincts of nurturing and protection dissolved under the relentless social pressure.
A new generation began to emerge from the escalating chaos, one Calhoun dubbed the beautiful ones. These mice were entirely untouched by the typical struggles for territory or mates. They spent all their time meticulously grooming themselves, eating from the abundant dispensers, and sleeping soundly. Their fur was immaculate, their bodies unblemished by conflict or the stress of social interaction. They exhibited no interest in mating, no desire to raise young, and no drive to fight or explore. They simply existed in a state of self-absorbed idleness.
With the aggressive males unable to maintain territories, the withdrawn males uninterested in mating, and the females failing to rear their young, the birth rate plummeted. The beautiful ones never bred, showing no instinctual drive to procreate. The last known conception in Universe 25 occurred on day 920. From that point on, the population began a slow, irreversible decline. There were no new generations to replace the dying, only an ever-dwindling cohort. For the final 3 years, Universe 25 became a ghost town. The once bustling tunnels and squares grew eerily silent. The remaining mice, primarily the aging beautiful ones, and a few surviving traumatized adults, moved through the perfect paradise with no purpose beyond basic survival. They ate, they drank, they groomed, and they slept. They simply waited to die, their lives devoid of meaning or connection. The last mouse perished in 1973, 5 years after the experiment began.
The story of Universe 25, or Calhoun's Mouse Utopia experiment, quickly became a chilling, oft-repeated tale. The popular interpretation, echoed across countless articles and documentaries, seemed glaringly obvious. Comfort and overcrowding kill. It was the abundance of resources combined with the sheer number of bodies that drove the mice mad, leading to their self-destruction. A stark and immediate warning against overpopulation and unchecked societal growth. A grim prophecy for humanity. But this common lesson, while compelling, misses John Calhoun's true, far more unsettling conclusion. He didn't believe the mice died from overcrowding alone, nor from too much comfort. Calhoun observed that even when there was ample physical space, the mice chose to cluster together, creating a psychological density that was the real problem. The true killer, he argued, was the disappearance of meaningful social roles. As the population grew, the number of available roles, territory defender, mate, parent, explorer, challenger, diminished. There were no new challenges, no purpose, no social niche for the vast majority of individuals to occupy. Without purpose, their lives became meaningless.
The mice died not from what they lacked, but from the void of purpose in their perfect world.
Universe 25 serves as a profound, if disquieting, mirror to our own existence. What happens when the structures of society, the demands of survival, and the opportunities for meaningful contribution begin to erode? What happens when our roles become superfluous, when the drive to build, to protect, to create fades in the face of absolute ease? The story of the mice asks us to consider what truly sustains a society, and what happens when that intangible scaffolding of purpose is quietly removed. It leaves us with the chilling question: are we too dependent on the constant creation of new roles and new meaning to avoid our own behavioral sink? Subscribe to Cognitive Sabotage for more true stories about the hidden forces shaping the mind.